The next day, I was perched in a window of Bullet's 6th-floor apartment. It was like I was sitting on top of the hood. I could see everyone as I peeked through the blanket he used for curtains. Bullet left out early that morning. He gave me the keys, but I don't know why he bothered. I wasn't going anywhere until he got back. He shot through the door when darkness fell. I was so vexed there was no reason to speak. Not to mention his fridge being empty. I was starving. Ignoring my attitude, he glided across the floor and slapped me on my butt.
Hey, I got something for you.
When I didn't respond, he threw 3 stacks of cash on the bed. 2 of the thickest stacks were hundreds, 1 all 50s. Picking up each stack and flipping through them, I arrived at an estimate the way Daddy taught me. I figured there was about $20,000. Where'd you get this? I knew full well no crackheads were walking around with large bills.
I'm a businessman, baby. I told you I make moves. Leather sofas and color TVs cost money.
He smiled so sweet I forgave him instantly. Sensing he broke through my wall of anger, he jumped on top of me and started kissing all over my face.
Yeah, I know how to make you hot.
His rough, conceited self said, and I loved it. After I got all excited about the loot, I noticed he packed it all away as if he had never thrown it at me. First thing the next morning, Bullet's man put his blacks around the corner. Handing Bullet his keys, he was so busy staring at me in my fine winter leather Benetton mini dress with matching jacket, he missed Bullet's hand and dropped his keys. As he bent down to get the keys, Bullet slapped his head on the way up. The next man, Bones, who was in the passenger seat, laughed that he got chumped. But Bones was staring at me too. I peeped that. We rode to the city in bumper-to-bumper traffic. I convinced Bullet that it would be easier for him to let me get the newspapers from the stand and travel to the apartments by train. He paused before he agreed and looked into my eyes like he expected to find something. He handed me a stack of dough and snatched it back before my fingers closed.
Just beat me when you find something. I'll meet you with the money.
Yeah, I said dryly. This dude just can't relax. It was almost 6 p.m. when I found a place. Instead of overlooking the river, it overlooked the FDR beside the river. There was a doorman, but no butler. The place was spacious, with large windows. I knew I could freak the layout with all kinds of designs. The important factor was the greedy man renting the apartment was easy to work with. He was the first landlord I met who understood to mind his business. He wanted cash, I wanted the keys. I figured he needed the loot to feed his nasty cocaine habit. He sniffed all the way through the interview. Plus, the tip of his nostril was eaten away from the drug. I had seen that effect before. Now, when he started babbling about how I could pick the keys up next week, he had to get the apartment cleaned, I threw him another $300 to get the keys on the spot. He grimaced when I told him I needed one out for my boyfriend to bring me all the dough. I don't know if he was mad that he had to wait or mad because I had a man. Magazines were spread out on the living room floor in the big empty apartment. I took my time reviewing each magazine, selecting each item from each ad I admired. I pieced together a collage of an apartment that was perfect for me. Bullet, who was out concentrating on what he described as the biggest move of his life, agreed that whatever I wanted was good with him. His only request was for me to leave the huge walk-in closet for his private use. At first, I was cool with the amount of time he spent away. Decorating was taking up all my time and energy anyhow. But he was slowing down my decorating with his lack of trust. Every time I wanted to buy something, I had to wait for him to have the time to go with me to each store so he could pay the cashier directly. It was clear to me that he wasn't going to let my hands feel no dough. Half the time I had to go to each store to locate what I wanted. I'd keep the items on a shopper list. At the miraculous moment when Bullet had a few hours available, He'd pick up each thing I wanted one by one. I tried having pieces of furniture delivered. I even had to schedule that around Bullet. He didn't want no delivery man sliding in his crib while he wasn't home. He even conveniently struck up a relationship with a doorman, passing him 20s and 50s for whatever favor he needed. After a while, I started to think one of the doorman's assignments was to watch me come and go. I figured it would only be a matter of time before Bullet could see I was down for whatever. Not only could I decorate the joint and order up delicious meals for two, but I'm a businesswoman who can easily be at least half the team. Daddy taught me how to work around people to achieve the same results. The first thing I did was lease the apartment in my name. He handed the money to the designated person in each transaction, but I signed off each time. As soon as we moved in, I filled out all my credit card applications and mailed them off. One day soon, I get my cards in the mail and use them to walk out the store with whatever I wanted. If Bullet took too long to include me in his business plans or left me home with too much time to think, I would easily see myself cooking up my own hustle. He must have been reading my mind. More than a month had passed. I completed, decorated, and had the place looking picture perfect. No work up front. Our spot was fatter than the designs in the magazines. Not only was everything top quality, it was elegant, a smart use of space, and had flavor and attitude. I was just sitting on a white leather sofa, listening to a little Mary J. Blige, where he slid his key in the front door earlier than usual. Busting in with speed and urgency, he picked me up and spun me around. What got you all gassed?
I'm almost there. Everything is good. Trust me.
With my face close to his, I said, "Should I trust you like you trust me?" He busted a smile.
Smart mouth. Get dressed. We going to a party.
He flung open my closet.
It's a triple date. You gotta look your best. Here.
He flung a box onto the sofa. Excited like I used to be when I was a little girl, I ripped off the wrapping paper and pulled out a brand new diamond bezel Lady Rolex. I started jumping up and down until I pounced right on top of him. "Thank you, Daddy."
What did you want me?
He asked, looking at me with surprise. I said, "Thanks, baby. This is it right here." The restaurant was the meetup point. After all, we agreed not to bring anybody from the old neighborhood to our new apartment. That meant nobody would know where we rest, which is how it should be. The spot was called Houston's. Dimly lit, it was a restaurant on the down low. As we sat parked outside, a black Benz pulled up behind us and a blue Lamborghini Jeep behind us. As I watched through the rear view, I asked, "Are there girlfriends anybody I know?"
I doubt it. You know what to do. Don't talk too much.
"Is this business or pleasure?" I asked, sensing something.
For you, it's all pleasure.
They were already seated when we stepped up. We slid into the big semicircle booth and Bullet introduced everyone. Right away, a bottle of Cristal was brought to the table. I was kind of happy to meet Tiffany and Iris. It had been a long time since I kicked it with any females. I wasn't under the illusion it was like we were girls or something, but it was important to me to hang with females who had their own loot so I wouldn't have to deal with no jealousy and funny business. It was obvious that at least for tonight, they were rolling with two fat cats as well. After the order was placed, all three men politely excused themselves and left the table. We were left looking at each other. It seemed like nobody wanted to say nothing. So I'm the party starter, I thought to myself. "So where y'all from?"
I'm from D.C.
Tiffany said.
Me? I'm from Virginia.
The way Iris hesitated, I assumed she was lying.
How about you?
Tiffany asked me. "I'm from Long Island." Lifting the bottle, I said, Well, we might as well drink this. They bought it for us. We sat there and drank the whole bottle. Then everything loosened up.
I like that dress, girl. Where did you get it?
Iris asked me. I knew for sure she was from out of town, 'cause if she was from Brooklyn, she would have never gave me the compliment. Moreover, she definitely wouldn't have played herself by asking where I got it. Thanks.
How many pieces you got in your head?
What?
You're here.
Oh, this is all me. I gestured by pulling my hair. They both started laughing.
Yeah, we all use that same line. It looks nice, though.
Which one of y'all came in a Lamborghini?
Me.
Tiffany said. Is it comfortable?
It's a lot of space in there to do whatever you want. It's like an army truck. Roland told me if someone is shooting at us, the bullets couldn't even make it inside. That's BS.
When the food came, Iris pushed her plate away.
I already ate. I'm not hungry.
Tiffany dipped 2 fries in ketchup.
That's it for me.
Searching through her oversized MCM pocketbook, she finally found her lipstick.
Let's go to the bathroom.
I moved to let them out, then continued to sit there. Tiffany called to me and gestured, come on. I looked around the restaurant and saw Bullet standing between the bar and the window. He saw me looking, but didn't say nothing. I guessed it was all right.
Iris, your chest is coming out of your bra.
Tiffany helped her adjust the straps. Everybody was touching up the hair, looking in the mirror. Iris was smoking a cigarette. Then Tiffany picked up my purse. I noticed she left her bag on a sink. Tiffany, you got the wrong bag, I told her. But she kept walking toward the door.
That's your bag right there.
Iris said to me, pointing to the MCM bag. What the? I rushed Tiffany, grabbing my bag by the strap. Iris pulled out a 9 and pointed it directly at me. Both the wind and the words left my mouth. I couldn't talk.
Take that bag. It's for your man. Don't blow it. Somebody should have put you up on it in advance.
They bounced. In the bag, I found several guns and a small bag of coke. I'm not dumb, so I caught on. I tore a small hole in the bag and tasted it. It was the real thing. When I walked out, Bullet, Bryce, and Roland were seated at the table laughing and talking like they were best friends. They had started to eat their food. Tiffany and Iris had slid themselves back into the booth too. Bryce asked,
Is everything okay?
I looked over to Bullet. Were our eyes locked? He nodded slightly.
It's all good, baby. Sit down.
Now I'm thinking, no, it's not all good. This bag don't match my dress. Nobody in Brooklyn rock MTM no more. Somebody needed to tell these down south chicks that. I wanted to be in on a business, but I didn't like being the only one who didn't know what was going on. We sat casually for 5 minutes. Money on the table, a tip for the waiter, phony hugs, and we were out. When we got outside in the cool, crisp air, I thought I seen the feds milling around across the street. I recognized the whole style from the takeover at my house. Now that I understood what was going on, I could view the entire scene clearly. Whipped his arm around me. Bullet kissed my cheek and whispered.
Drive home, put the bag in my closet.
He gave me a deep tongue kiss like natural, while passing me his keys. I walked to the car with no sign of strangeness. When I waved goodbye, Bullet was talking to Bryce and Roland. The feds were focused on the men. I slipped right by. An hour later, Bullet walked in all smiles with arms extended wide.
Sexy, you did it.
Without getting up from the couch, fully dressed, when my shoes kicked off, I said, I thought we was going to a party. He picked up his keys. By now, he was inside the walk-in closet, checking behind me as usual. 3 minutes later, he came out with work tools in his hand. He talked to me while he put a new lock on the walk-in closet door.
We are going to a party. Give me 5 minutes.
Oh, you ain't gonna say nothing?
Never like what?
That little scene an hour ago.
You said you wanted to be in. Now you in.
Why didn't you put me up on what was going down?
'Cause the key to success is to be natural. Everything was easy. Nobody acted unusual. Them feds can smell when you're nervous.
He didn't want to talk about it in the crib. He didn't want to talk about it in the car either. We picked up his man and another dude named Moose. We rode to the club with the music blasting. Real Love by Mary J. Blige. I love that old record. We pulled around to the back of the club, his man switched into the driver's seat, and me, Bullet, and Moose walked through the back door straight into the VIP section. Whose party is this? I asked, but I was drowned out by the music and excitement around us. Everybody there knew Bullet. It wasn't like Cass was excited to see him. It was a respect thing. They acknowledged him quietly, said a few words in low tones, and gave him pounds. But nobody got in his way, asked him for VIP passes or ID. Moose had Bullet's back so close, you'd think they was joined at the hip. When Bullet wasn't giving somebody a pound, his hand could be found on my waist, resting lightly on top of my butt. We found a small table in the corner. After ordering drinks, Bullet relaxed a little and began to talk to me the way he felt comfortable in a crowded room with the music high and Moose with his back to him, facing the crowd like a big black stop sign.
You did good. I knew you could. I've been checking your flow. I like the way you think, the way you move.
So what does that mean?
What you mean what it mean? I'm giving you a compliment.
How much was it worth?
How much was what worth?
The guns and powder. What, $250,000? A half?
You see? You're getting ahead of yourself. I did this setup for you, to get you accustomed to stuff. I could have put it off without you. I had plenty of times. You think you can just walk into this cold? They'll see you coming from a mile away. You gotta work your way in this. You gotta fill out everybody, and you gotta fill out yourself. It could be the tiniest thing that get you away. A itch on your nose, capping your fingers too much, or the way your eyes move. If you do this enough, you can get an appearance of being at ease. Then you are natural, instead of looking, smelling, and acting like a suspect.
I ain't new to this.
You wasn't a player on your father's team. You think street smarts is inherited?
He laughed. Just when I opened my mouth to speak, Moose turned and tapped Bullet. His attention was drawn away. Now I was waiting for him to finish talking to some dude. I was thinking at the same time that I just wanted to get my hands on Salute. Not for no specific reason, except I didn't want him keeping me with no more than $20 in my pocket and a few train tokens. I wasn't asking for a cut of his product or profit. Just a few $100, maybe $1,000 in my pocket so I could feel good. All right, I'm willing to work my way in. I ain't no slouch or nothing.
Oh, for a minute I thought you was unhappy. Don't your man get you everything you need? Don't I keep your hands heavy?
He pointed to my new Rolex.
Don't I keep the roof of your choice over your head? Name one thing you wanted that I didn't get you.
My father's address.
Man, what you want I ain't get you? What you mean? I'll get it for you.
It was at that second I wised up. I would never mention Santiago to him again. For some reason that I wasn't getting, it was like asking about Daddy was an insult. Now I would get to my father on my own. I would find my pops and stay on point with Bullet. I watched for an opening to pull it off, but this was exactly what I needed my own cash for. The wackest thing about celebrity parties is you're locked in the VIP section where nobody dances. The live party goes on outside the VIP room. But Bullet had business in here. I should have known this wasn't no date. By the time we was leaving, I felt stress. It was going out the back door that everything went crazy. I was walking close in front of Bullet. Bullet walked in front of Moose, who had his back. Some fool came walking up to me. Within seconds, I recognized him as the bodyguard who drove me home from GS's mansion.
What's up, Sasha?
He was directly in front of me, so I stopped walking. Besides, he was 6'2", much taller than me, and dope. "Do I know you?" I said in a cold tone. I played it off. Bullet, who was 6 feet tall, put his hand on the cat and pushed him out our path.
Got the wrong girl. Move on.
Sasha, you don't remember me from GS's?
He repeated, feeling himself and testing Bullet. "My name ain't Sasha." I tried to cut him with my words.
Money, I told you. Move on.
Bullet said, with death in his eyes. His leather jacket swung open, revealing his arsenal. Moose stepped in and said,
Here, let me talk to you for a minute.
pulling the bodyguard to the side. Meanwhile, Bullet's man pulled up. Me and Bullet got in the car. "What are we waiting for?" Bullet, still heated, didn't answer. He got out of the car and signaled somebody. Next thing I know, he's outside talking to GS. I watched through the tinted windows. I could see GS's face clearly. It didn't look like an argument. It looked like a friendly, casual conversation. Then, Bullet knocked on the window. I rolled it down and slowly looked out.
I want you to meet my man, GS.
Without smiling or nothing, I said, "Nice to meet you," and turned around. I heard Bullet say,
Yeah, that's my girl. You never seen him before, have you?
Nah.
GS said. I sighed in relief. I don't know why he covered for me, or maybe he was just protecting himself. There was no way he had forgotten me. I knew then that Bullet was the man. Moose never got back in the car that night. We dropped Bullet's man and went home. Focusing on food was never my thing. As my stomach growled the next morning, I felt a desire to eat. As I held the refrigerator door open, I couldn't decide what I wanted. Hunger turned to nausea, nausea turned to vomit. After hurling in the toilet, I laid in bed with a nasty taste in my mouth. After 7 minutes of silence, panic settled in. I ran in the kitchen to pull out the calendar the Chinese takeout guy slid under the door. Frantically, I tried to remember the last date of my period. The problem was, the numbers in the calendar didn't mean nothing to me. I couldn't even match certain incidents with corresponding dates. When I finally thought about it harder, I tried to remember the last time I bought tampons. Lachey's face popped in my head. I remember charging her $2 for one back at the House of Success, but I had blocked all that out. In jeans with a pajama shirt on under my jacket, I walked to the closest pharmacy and purchased the pregnancy test. Back in the bathroom, I zoomed through the directions. Placing a small cup underneath me, I peed on my fingers trying to hold it. Then I pissed on the floor. Then I pissed in the toilet. Therefore, my little cup only had a droplet of piss in it. I turned on the water to make myself able to pee again. I waited half an hour, and finally I was able to deliver a half a cup. While I waited for the plus and minus sign, I smoked a joint to calm my nerves. 3 minutes to doomsday. It turned out positive. I was pregnant. The only thing to do was get rid of it. After a short while, I remembered hearing an abortion jingle on the radio. I couldn't recall exactly how the commercial went, but I knew if I tuned in, within minutes the ad will come on. When I called, they gave me the location of the nearest clinic. A quick shower, I was dressed and on my way. It was a cloudy morning. Girls were jammed like sardines in the clinic. As I surveyed the room, it wasn't hard to figure out the girls whose stomachs weren't poking out yet were sure to abort after looking at the obviously pregnant idiots who decided to keep their babies. One big pregnant girl had dark purple circles underneath her eyes. I saw stretch marks on knees, arms, and even elbows. Some girls were balding from their condition. I saw swollen hands, noses, and feet. One girl's ankles were so fat, it looked like she had elephantitis. She had her big tree trunk legs propped up on not one, but 2 chairs. Meanwhile, others didn't even have nowhere to sit. Now I'm steady counting who came in first, next, and next. I wanted to get this over with before Bullet got home. The girl next to me leaned over to ask,
Are you nervous?
Nah, I said, keeping it brief, not wanting to invite her into conversation.
Then why do you keep shaking your foot like that, bumping into my chair?
As I checked myself, I realized I was tapping my foot. I got control of it immediately.
I was nervous my first time, too. It turns out it didn't hurt, though. It was like 1, 2, 3, over.
She was still talking. I didn't respond, but I was glad to hear once again that having an abortion didn't hurt. Back in the day, my girls told me the same thing. I couldn't believe this girl was going to keep going on with the conversation without any participation from me.
This is my 5th one. I really can't get into the creams. That stuff make me itch. Them pills make me sick. Can't feel nothing but a condom. It's easier this way. It works pretty good, too. Only get knocked up about once a year.
Yeah, but it must be expensive, I said, allowing her to pull me in.
Girl, I got an abortion credit card.
She pulled a Medicaid card from her purse. In the exam room, the doctor grilled me.
Do you have a physician?
No.
When's the last time you had a gynecological exam?
This is my first time. Why, you got a problem with that?
I'm asking the questions, young lady.
The Indian doctor with a dot said, like I was a lowly soldier in her army.
When was your last period?
I don't remember. When it was all said and done, I was 3 months pregnant or more.
What do you want to do?
She asked with a sickening look of concern. I want to get rid of it right now. Give me the abortion. Pulling the rubber gloves off her hands, she said,
Not so fast. Have you given us any thought? There are options.
Look, the commercial said it's a lady's choice. You do abortions, now get it out. She stood up and went to the counter with her back to me. I'm like, she's crazy. She act like it's personal.
See the nurse on your way out. She'll give you an appointment for determination. If you wait too long, this can get messy.
What's wrong with now?
There's another doctor who performs the procedure. You'll schedule it with the nurse.
It only took me 2 minutes of talking to convince the nurse that I needed to be scheduled tomorrow. You wouldn't want to be responsible for pushing me over the 3-month line, would you? I challenged her. Back at the apartment, I sat at the kitchen table. Images flashed in my mind. I traced the baby back to Boone. It was either him or GS's idiot bodyguard. I wished it was Bullets. I knew it wasn't, 'cause I was too far along. I remember the first time me and him had sex, 'cause it was on my birthday. Images merged as I made comparisons. Boone had silky hair, Bullet had naps that was cut into a season. Boone was yellow, Bullet brown. Boone had hazel eyes, Bullet's brown. If it was Bullet's baby, he would give me the whole world, marry me. But it's Boone's or the other guy's. There was no way to be sure. I'll get it scraped out first thing tomorrow.
What you been doing all day?
Bullet's suspicious self asked. Nothing.
Did you go out?
No.
How come you didn't answer the phone?
I was probably in the incinerator, emptying the garbage. Why didn't you page me? I turned it on him.
I did pay through.
He stared in my eyes. I ain't get no beep.
Then you must have been on the subway. That's the only way you didn't get it.
I pulled my pager from my side. Oh, I need a new battery. Bullet spent the rest of the night in the walk-in closet with the door closed and locked. The 11 a.m. train to the clinic was packed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about what was about to happen. I mean, Bullet didn't even come to bed before I went to sleep. Even though this gave me the opportunity to clip 300 from his coat, I was nervous. He didn't kiss me before he left. I didn't even hear him leave. Would I be able to conceal the abortion without leaving a clue? These thoughts converted into new thoughts when my eyes caught the front page of the New York Daily News. The man sitting across from me was reading it. He held it up in front of his face. It wasn't the headline or the big picture. It was the bold line across the top. Rap star bodyguard found dead. My eyes locked in on the sentence. I read it over and over. Immediately, I got up, walking through the packed train car. I knew someone had left the paper on the train before getting off. After the train stopped, more people got off, and I got my hands on the paper. As I suspected, there was the face of GS's bodyguard from the other night, Tony. It was a picture, I guess, from his high school days. He looked younger, with a big doofy smile. His full name was written underneath the picture. I never knew his last name was Creighton. Rap star GS lost friend and bodyguard Tony Creighton, 22, who was gunned down with 3 bullets to the head. Police don't yet know the time of the incident. The body was discovered yesterday in a vacant lot. Then they had the mother of the bodyguard saying he was such a good boy. He fed the homeless on holidays. People always talk like that after somebody dies. Everybody gets together and starts lying about how good the person was. He wasn't no saint when he was lying up in bed pretending to be GS. Forget him. I was only concerned about one thing, myself. This abortion had to go smooth. I didn't want Bullet coming after me. It wasn't like I cheated on him or nothing. This happened before me and him hooked up. But I knew it didn't matter. I just needed to get rid of it and give him no reason to suspect anything. I mean, me and Bullet just clicked. We were thick like that, business and lovers. As soon as I got to the clinic, the nurse started asking me stupid questions.
Did you come here alone?
Yeah, why? You got a problem with that?
Did you drive or take public transportation?
Why?
Answer the questions, please, miss.
I took the train.
Okay, you need to take this pill.
She handed me a big pill with one of those small white paper cups, a kind that's only good for one drink before they crumble.
Once the procedure is complete, you'll feel disoriented. You can't drive. You should have a companion here in case you don't feel well and need help getting home. Is there anyone who can pick you up?
Yeah, I got a ride coming. I lied. She read my chart, then looked back at me.
Good, you're 18. You'll need to sign these papers.
After they got me to promise not to sue if they accidentally killed me on the operator table, I gave them my $300. The doctor came in and he held my hand while someone else gave me an injection.
You may taste a salty solution. It's okay.
Then the machine roared. It sounded like a vacuum cleaner. What seemed like only minutes later, the machine stopped. In my head, I heard the voice of the girl from the waiting room yesterday.
1, 2, 3, over.
Everyone left the room. Then the nurse returned and stuffed big pads in my crotch, the kind I would never wear, like diapers.
This is to absorb the bleeding. If the heavy bleeding doesn't stop by tomorrow, call us immediately. But you should continue to have bloody spots.
She handed me another pill.
This is to help stop infection.
She handed me a small envelope with 6 more pills in it.
Don't bathe and don't engage in sexual activity for the next 4 weeks to avoid infection. You need time to heal.
She left me alone in the small room. I was fine until I tried to stand up. The stuff in the room was moving around like I was in space. It was hard for me to stand straight. I looked at my Rolex and the numbers started to float off the face. The nurse busted back into the room as I was crouched over trying to pull my pants up.
Let me help you. Do you feel dizzy?
Yes.
This happens to some people. Don't worry. You'll need to lie down. Has someone arrived to pick you up?
No.
Just as I thought.
She escorted me to a different small room with a small bed. She helped me lie down. Without notice, I slept. About 2 hours later, I felt a hand on my shoulder.
You can go now. It should be okay. We need to use this bed for another patient.
I felt much better. Everything was steady. I headed home.